Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my 2021 reading goals and I'm going to check off the list of my 2020 reading goals. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. My first reading goal in 2021 is to read at least one tome per month. A tome is a book which is at least 500 pages long. So the books are which are 500 pages or 500 plus pages in count. Those are the things that are considered as tomes. And one of the main reasons for setting this as a goal is to bring down all the big books that I have lying in my shelf in my TBR pile. I tend to pick up more small books, shorter books compared to big books, mainly because I'll be able to read a lot more books. And also one thing is that bigger books need a little more concentration and time for me, and I'm going to try and make it as a priority in 2021 in order to read more big books rather than I read in 2020, and I think I'll be able to achieve that very well. My goal number 2 is to finish at least reading 5 series. If you didn't know, I already made a TBR series to be done in 2021 and I already have that video up in the channel. I'll try to link it up in the icon or down in the description so you can check it out if you're interested. I already have 8 series that I've talked about in that video itself, and of those 8 series, if I'm able to cover at least 5, it'll be a really easy goal to complete. Also, I have various trilogies and series that are resting in my shelf itself. Also, there are quite a few books which I want to read as new releases in 2021, so I'm expecting to meet this goal also very easily, but I do want to read more than 5 series. 5 is just a small number for me accordingly, and I'm going to try to read at least 5 series. If I'm fortunate enough, I'll finish up reading a lot more series than just 5. My goal number 3 is to read at least 2 non-fiction books per month. This was a really good goal for me in 2020 because I did not used to read a lot more non-fiction compared to fiction in the years before 2020, and I took that as an initiative and tried to read a lot more of non-fiction last year, and I did end up finishing a lot more non-fiction books. As a result of that, I also have favorites of 2020 in the category of non-fiction, which is a video which will be coming out pretty soon, and you will see a lot of good picks in there. So I'm expecting to read a lot more of non-fiction compared to fiction this year, and that's one of the main aims when it comes to reading for me, and that's one of the main reasons I've kept this as a goal to read at least 2 non-fiction books per month. My fourth goal is to read at least a few more graphic novels or comic books than I used to read in the previous years. In the last year, that is 2020, I did read graphic novels. I do have a favorite graphic novels video also, which might be already out or which I'll be publishing pretty soon. One of the main things which I didn't do that when it comes to reading graphic novels is that I did not read them in a consistent basis when it comes to continuous months. I read like 4 to 5 graphic novels in 1 month, and for the next month or two I'll not read even a single one. I don't want to end up in such a place in this year, so I'm going to try and read a lot more graphic novels. My plan is to read at least 1 per month, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that or not with all the other books that I got to read. So let's just wait and see, but I'm hoping to read a lot more graphic novels than I used to read in 2020 and the years before. Goal number 5 is the last goal, and it is the toughest goal I've set for myself for this year, and it is to bring my physical TBR pile to under 40 books. Currently I have over 100 books in my bookshelf physically, so I'm going to try and bring them down in a number. I also know that I'm going to buy some more new books in the year to come. I'm sure that I will buy, I know myself, and that's one of the toughest things which I've got to do, and I'm going to try and do it as much as possible. I usually like to have a lot of mixture when it comes to reading, that is reading physically, listening to audiobooks, reading ebooks and such, but I'm going to try and read a lot more books physically. Also, I'm going to try and cover up some of my physical books by listening to them on audio and continuing to read them physically along with the audiobook. I've not got a plan on how I'm going to decrease my TBR pile in a physical way from the 60 to 70 books that I own to under 40 books, but I do think that it's highly possible because I do tend to read a lot more in these past few months, and I'm going to try and keep up that momentum and read a lot more physical books, especially when it comes to 2021. Now moving on to checking my reading goals in 2020. I did have 5 reading goals in 2020 also, but of those 5 goals, I did successfully achieve 4 of the goals. Only one goal was the thing which I didn't achieve, and it was my first ever goal which I set for myself in reading. And the first goal was to read at least 1 classic per month, which ended up as a disaster because I did manage to read 1 classic each in January and February, and from March, since the pandemic started, I was not able to concentrate on reading hardly written books. Okay, the language is a bit tough for me to get through when it comes to classics, and that's one of the main reasons why I don't pick up classics as well. I do have a classics TBR for 2021 also, that's already up in the channel, and I'm going to try and read those classic books which I've talked about in that video alone, and I'm not going to include them in any of the TBRs. I don't care when I read them, but I'm going to try and finish reading them by the end of 2021, and I hope that I'll be able to do this well in 2021. And this was the only failure that I had when it comes to reading goals in 2020. The second goal in 2020 was to read at least one fantasy book every month, and I did keep this as like a compensation for myself, because I knew that reading one classic per month will be a difficult thing for me to do, but reading one fantasy per month is very easy. That's mainly because it's my favorite genre, and I tend to read a lot more of books in fantasy rather than any other genre, and I did manage doing that. Most of the months I read more than one fantasy book. In some months I even managed to read like 5 to 6 fantasy books as a whole, especially during the time when the pandemic was at its peak, that is summer in India, April and May. I managed to read a lot of fantasy books during those months, and it was such a fun time, and I'm going to try and follow that momentum and pace in this year also. My third goal was to read at least one tome per month, which is the first goal that I've set for myself as the first reading goal in 2021. I did manage to read at least one tome for all the months. I did not think that I would have completed that goal. Okay, just when I checked up Goodreads, I was able to understand that I did do it, and it felt like because July and September, they were like horrible reading months for me. I did not read at all that much. It was such a soggy month for me, and I thought that I would not have read tomes during those 2 particular months, and due to that I would have missed on that goal. But thankfully and gratefully I did not, and I did read at least one tome in those 2 months also, and I did complete that goal. My fourth goal in 2020 was to read at least 1000 pages per month. This was also an easy goal for me to achieve when I read a lot of books, but during those 2 months of July and September alone, I was not at all confident that I would have ended up reading 1000 pages on those 2 months. And again, I went and checked my Goodreads, and it was a big surprise for me, because I was a bit certain that July would have been covered, because I did read a lot of books in July comparatively to that in September. But in September also I managed to read a tome and 2 normal sized books, which just made it up to just a little over 1000 pages, and I did complete that goal also. My last reading goal in 2020 was to read more non-fiction books. I didn't put a number on it, but mentally I challenged myself to read at least 12 non-fiction books throughout the entire year of 2020. That's mainly that was in the range of one non-fiction book at least per month, and I did read more than just one non-fiction book every month. And especially my goal was to read at least 12 books, as I said before, and I did that in just November itself. I participated in non-fiction November, and it was so much fun. Okay, I do have my non-fiction November wrap up also. I'll try to link it down in the description if you're interested to watch. I do have like 12 non-fiction books that were awesome to read, and I just enjoyed that whole experience. I learned a lot. It was just so much fun, and I'm going to try and read a lot more of non-fiction than I did in 2020 this year. That's all for today, and those are my 5 reading goals when it comes to 2021 as a year, and I'm very much optimistic that I'll be able to finish and complete all of them and achieve a really good reading year by the end of this year. Let's just hope we all do well. And also don't forget to let your reading goals for 2021 in the comments below. Also how you did on your reading goals in 2020. Yeah, if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.